morning. Thanks for joining me on TMI Tuesday. I did say we'll be taking a bite on the topic, which is on integration of the Libya returnees to the society, the Edo story. And I'm supposed to be having the Senior Special Assistant to the Governor on Human Trafficking and Illegal Migration, Solomon Okodowa, to do justice to some of the begging questions on this topic. But also to give flesh to it, starting from my extreme left, I have an erudite and articulate analyst, a public affairs analyst, Francis Owaifo, and also a clergyman. Many thanks for coming, Francis.
Good morning. Thanks for having me.
And same, I have an articulate, erudite political analyst, who we always have opportunity to have here whenever there is need for it. Ahmed Mamadou. Many thanks for coming, Ahmed.
Thank you for having me, Philip. Good morning, viewers.
I'd like to start with you, Francis. It's been on for quite some time now over the Libya returnees, and there's this great challenge of not only inducting them on the training program, which was embarked on even since last year, but also empowering them. And there have been various promises by the state government in this respect. What do you think about this?
Well, I want to say, I want to give kudos to the state government for the ability to really nip this ugly situation in the bud, because we found out that most of our boys and ladies, they've left for greener pastures, and there was a reason why they left, and they left because they felt that they were not getting certain things right in their states, and the government deemed it fit to bring them back. And I feel that after bringing them back, there are a lot that need to be done to reintegrate them into society. And I want to take a clue from the amnesty program in the South, Bayelsa, Rivers, and Delta. We found out that for us to have effective inroad into integrating these guys, we have to also borrow a leaf from what was done by the federal government and other agencies when that one took place. We found out that most of these guys that migrate, they have a trade. They learn trade. They learn trade. They are skilled in one way or the other. Yeah. But when you load them into one program, they said, I want you to go face agriculture. They might not have flair. And that is the reason why you find most of these plans from the state government has not really worked. Because you find out that most of them had trade they were doing here. Some have one or two skills, and they traveled. Now they are back. So I want the government to look at individually what they are specialized in. You have those that had barber salons before they sold their barber salon and went and traveled. You have those that are bricklayers. You have those that are mechanics. You have those that can do one or two things very well. So what you need to do is that you have to partner. Government have to partner with international agencies, but the government cannot do it alone because they need funding. Because because now this is electionary times, and you know that election is cost effective, it's expensive in Nigeria. So when you look at the cost of election and cost of bringing money out for intervention program for these guys, there is this conflict, and government is going to look at that as not too important. Probably let's delay these guys or delay their program with their integration. Let's do an election that is coming up in February. And you find out that the more we delay these guys, the more we are. Some of them, we feel that they will feel agitated and they want to go back, because they will feel that the first reason why did we leave this country, there was a reason why we left. They felt that the basic amenities, social amenities, were not just there.
They are not being empowered.
And yes, they were not just there. And now, those things, are they still there? To me, the answer is no. They are not there. And this government that we have is trying its best to see how it can augment from where they took up from and where they want us to go. So I believe that they can partner with agencies, look at where they are specialized on. And for example, if you have about 200 of these guys that knows how to cut the hair, it won't take much to set up barber salon everywhere in the three geographical, three senatorial zones of the states. Those from Issaquah, if you're from Issaquah, you go back to your home. Let's set you up in barber salon. Let's set you up in mechanic. Let's set you up in wedding. Let's set you up in washing of cars. When you do this, and you find out that you will not need much money to reintegrate these guys. And the more they are reintegrated as fast as possible, the more they will feel settled. Because if we are just kept and there are promises from state government, we are going to do this one, and we can't do it, you find out that they will keep agitating and they want to go back. because they found out that there was a reason why when they traveled, they saw that the field was greener at the other side. And they journeyed, even when they knew this was a risky venture to take.
Okay.
They went.
Okay.
And now they are back.
Okay.
I think
what you just said is a common thread. And everyone who goes out for greener pastures and see the voyage being very, very ugly and then comes back, wants to see an opportunity where he or she can grow in that trade or empowerment that he or she has, or the skills that he or she is learning. Yes. But he made mention of that, Ahmed. But do you see government as playing a very sensitive role? Do you see government as really ensuring that this Libya returnees are not frustrated to the point of going back? Because we hear reports, as alleged, that some of them have started going back to Libya, and in the course of it, some have died in the process, and some also to other European countries. Doesn't it show that government perhaps is not acting the way it should?
Well, first of all, like my brother rightly said, we have to give kudos to the state government for the intervention in the first place and trying to, as much as possible, reduce the impact of this resettlement. It's a forced resettlement because a lot of them had already decided that they were taking their fortunes elsewhere. And to come back to pretty much start afresh is very traumatic.
It's traumatic.
It's very traumatic. And so, of course, there will be heightened expectations. There will be issues with integration, reintegration, how they relate to their families, what government role will play with them. And so, even the government allowing any sort of disconnect between them and their aspirations is always going to create frustration. I believe the government is doing the best they can with the limited resources. Okay,
but we had an issue where it was said, as some alleged, that they had a training which ended in December last year, yes. And it was promised by the state government that within 90 days they're going to set up 150 hectares of land and 100 million naira seed money for them to kickstart. But that is yet to come after that big promise.
Yes.
Don't you think that is also a challenge?
Of course, when you make promises and you're not able to keep the promise, you are creating a situation where people are going to feel frustrated and wonder if anything you tell them is true. I'm not able to speak to the specifics of why that promise has not been kept, but I do believe that the government has tried to be as honest and straightforward with the returnees as possible. It may be that funding is an issue, it may be that a few other bureaucratic hiccups have come into play. But I believe that the government should keep on, putting their interests at the forefront so that we don't have people who go back out of frustration. Do you mean
it should be highly prioritized?
Yes, I think it's something that should be prioritized.
Do you see government has not prioritized it enough?
Well, on a scale of things that may be important, it may not be the highest priority.
Okay.
But of course it should be.
It should be because it also borders on security. Because if you are not able to nip this in the bud,
there's
then
no way to know how it ends up.
Yes.
Yes. And so we need to, it's something that has to be handled with much care and delicacy.
Okay.
If government has some handicap in putting in place the promises it made, then this thing should be communicated as quickly as possible to allow these people to understand that it may just be a temporary hiccup, and it's something that over time is going to be resolved.
Okay, we look at all of this, but it's always in the mouth of everyone, the government role in this. But do you see the government as the sole sector that could be embarking on this in terms of rehabilitating these people?
No,
what about the parents?
Not at all.
What about the society?
Not at all. I have, I'm taking from three tripods. We have the government has its role, this family has its role, the person himself has its role. Anybody that wants to embark on such suicide journey has its role to play, because we look at, as a man, you have to speak to yourself sometimes, because you have to know that all that glitters are not gold. It's not, government is trying its best, and look at the limited resources and what is happening in the world today, not just in Nigeria. When you go to South Africa, and when you go to UK, US, you find out that things are not just moving the way it is because of the global recession everywhere. And it shows that when you have a responsible government that also takes the welfare of its citizens as a priority, just as my brother said, we also prioritize welfare of citizens, social amenities. Understand? Now look at, for some time, you have no light in the metropolis. You have no water. I was growing up, we used to have pipe-borne water everywhere. Now as it stopped, and everybody now goes to borehole sinking. And you find out that people are not sure of the next day because the federal government has not done the needful.
It's not living up to its responsibilities.
Yes. And again, the family as a family, every nuclear family and extended family must sit down and look at how can we contribute to the upgrade or to the growth and upbringing of our children. It might not be your direct children. It might be your uncle's children that died 30 times. It's the responsibility of the family right now to see how they can cater for the children that we bring into this world.
Okay, but there's one thing for you to also say that it's another for the family or the parents to also say that they are also having some basic challenge that has to do with funding. Because for a young man or a young lady who comes from that venture and stays at home without doing anything, without being empowered, that becomes a problem. So if the parent has to raise money when they know basically that they don't have it,
yes.
Probably they are being owed salaries, probably they are pensioners and they have not been paid their gratuity, this falls back to government. It
yes.
means
also
something
yes.
is not working at the basic foundation.
Yes, you look at it from different ways. There are some parents that don't have what it takes because of the society, because of government ability to pay salary or pension to say to be able to cater for their children. You also have some parents that are not responsible. Money is not the issue. Okay. They just want to take care of their children. The only is that when they are just to raise children into this world. They bring children into this world, they tell the woman, you know how to take care of this kid.
Like character formation, for instance.
Yes. So you find out that some men must be responsible. They must be responsible. There are some men really, when you look at, there are some NGO I worked with not quite long, some women that has domestic violence. And these are women that have husbands. They told us how most of their husbands just to sleep, lay with them, rear children, they abandon the family, they just go out, come back at night, don't care whether they eat, don't care whether they live, so they don't educate their children. You find out that those children grow up to become miscreants, and most of them, 35% or 40% of these ones that comes from such homes are the ones that want to embark on those voyages. And we find out that those journeys sometimes end in death because crossing the Mediterranean Sea is very difficult, and so many things. And so, as I said, the family must be responsible. Government must try as much as possible to provide the enabling environment, amenities, welfare here and there, make sure the welfare of its citizens, when it comes to road grading, opening up of urban and rural areas. Because when you come to rural areas, you find out that there is no government presence in rural areas, and there is urban migration. As they come to Benin City, look at roads, look at Ring Road, look at there are cars here. So if I go further north, further Africa, I will find better place to habitate. So it shows that the government, the person itself, and the family have a role to play in this.
Well, some may also argue, Ahmed Mamadou, that government may be playing politics with this, because we hear the issues about the 150 hectares of land that is, according to reports, yet to be given. Do you think that is the mind of government?
No, I don't feel that government is playing politics, because this is such a sensitive issue. Like you pointed out clearly, it's a national security issue. We have returnees who feel that their lives or their aspirations have been truncated, and they will be pushed to desperation if they are not properly addressed. So I don't want to feel that government is playing politics with the issue. I want to feel that it's possible that there are bureaucratic bottlenecks. It's possible that on a scale of funding, because like my brother has rightly pointed out, we have limited resources, and then the distribution of those limited resources among the most pressing needs sometimes creates, a delay in the plans of government to implement its policies. It would be unfair to believe that government is being political in the resettlement of the returnees, because so far I believe that government has shown sincerity. It has received them, it has tried to train them, accommodate them, giving them a few stipends in situations where it is able to. So this may be the last part of it where they want to get it right. And let's bear it in mind that this is not it hasn't been done before. So there is no blueprint as to where we are going.
Okay.
We are making this thing up as we are going along. So let us give the government the benefit of the doubt that for now, it may be that there are some issues, funding issues that is holding it up.
Okay, but we want to also understand that the International Organization for Migration is also giving support in this regard.
Yes, even when the support comes, it still has to be, we have to look at the whole picture.
But shouldn't government also be responsible or transparent enough to also show how much of support that is coming?
Well, that also should be an issue. And then if we are talking about international funding and issues about the transparency of government, I believe that at some point in time, the government is probably going to come out and say, this is where we are, this is the kind of support we've got, and this is what we need to move forward. There may be a lacuna at this point where there is a gap between what government is doing, what people see them doing, and what the intention is. That is where the problem is. Okay. But I do not believe that the government is deliberately trying to create an issue where there isn't one.
Okay. Okay. What's your posture about the state government's stance in terms of bringing about the issue of insecurity in this regard to history?
Oh yeah. You also look at that. Apart from not being proactive enough when we should be as a government in tackling this reintegration process of these guys, you find out that sometimes they can also pose as eternal security in the states because they've seen some better life outside and they want quick money. That was the reason why they left at first, and they want to, you know, young boys of these days, they are they are faster than their shadows. They want to
being youths.
Yes, being youths.
Yes, and they could be capable of doing a lot of things that could surprise the country.
Now look at what is happening. I've never heard of where this ritual purposes, ritual things that's happening in the states to a different dimension. The one I have in my phone, a young man, he was spraying money in his father's burial. All of a sudden, he just ran mad. He started calling his father's name. Father, this is not what I planned. This is not what I planned. He stripped himself naked.
Well, so what can't authenticate
that. The youth of these days, we must try as much as possible. They can prove our security risk. So that's why the government must actually prioritize all this, the security and retention of these guys. Let's take their priority as one basic thing that we must do. Let's see how we can partner. Because I told you off camera, we can partner with international agencies. We can partner with national agencies, even state agencies, can partner with banks, can partner with whatever companies you have. These are part of societal responsibility they must do where their operations are. Because if these guys are not properly taken care of, they can pose a security risk even to their businesses. So when they are told this one, I believe they can bring up their fund to do the needful to these guys.
Thank you, Francis. Thank you, Ahmed Momodu. Well, all of this is forming a thread on the basis of ensuring that the state government acts quickly in respect of nipping this in the bud, having to do with promises not being fulfilled, and also having to do with kick-starting this returnees in order for them to have a better life, and also to discourage them from embarking on that venture. Well, we talk about national security and all of this that pertains to holding strong the elements and the viable factors that every leadership of a government or a country will focus on. Then we look at the 2019, which is just a couple of months from here, the 2019 polls, and the question of national security. Ahmed Momodu, there have been these issues about recent development as regards as national security. We hear of attacks, the military attacks, and the whole idea of the Boko Haram sect being degraded, which statement was credited to the current government. But from all of this, does it show that they've been degraded?
Yes, they've definitely been degraded. We're talking about a situation where previously the Boko Haram was actually in physical possession of some of the sovereign territory of Nigeria, which is not the case anymore. We now have them on the run. Now all they are doing is, in the military, is called soft targeting, where you come after targets that are easier to attack. You attack and you run away. And so,
when you say soft target that are easier to attack,
yes,
the military in this case, is it a soft target?
Yes, the military will pose as a soft target in the sense that if you have an overpowering number, for example, you find two vehicles with soldiers inside, and then 20 Boko Haram men, of course they will attack the vehicles. But the recent attack we're talking about, that was a deliberate attack to show that they are still within, that they are still able to launch these attacks, even though degraded, when they don't have a particular place where they can call their operational base, they are scattered all over the place. That is the point to which Boko Haram is currently degraded. And so these attacks are to be expected. They are terrorists. Their whole idea, their whole modus is to create fear and discomfort in the larger population.
But some also argue that having the military, attacking the military bases, is sending a bad signal in the sense that this is the body that defends the country's territory. And for them to be attacking the military could show a bad signal. Don't you think that's...
Well, unfortunately, I would rather they attack the military than to attack the civilian population, because the civilian population, of course, has no way to defend themselves. If we can reduce the attacks to the minimum possible, everybody will be comfortable. But as you have witnessed, over the last 2 weeks, there have been a few failed suicide attacks, where some of those suicide bombers were captured. We've had cases where they were arrested, some where they detonated themselves. But this is going to, unfortunately, this is going to continue for a little while.
For a little while?
Yes, it's going to continue for a little while, because there are still elements, are still traces of them. And they are still, like you rightly pointed out, we are now talking about the influx of even fighters from the Libyan civil war that are coming. They are displaced all over West Africa. We are talking about Islamic State. We are talking about them trying to prove that they are still able to, cause mayhem and confusion. And of course, the only place that they will do such is at the military. But over time, these things are going to gradually go. Because as you have seen, the government has now gone across our borders and gone to our neighbors and said, look, this is a place, this is a fight where we all have to come together to make sure that all our territories are secure, so that these people don't have any launching place from which they can attack any of us.
Okay, well, Francis Wifo, this argument may not augur well in the ears of so many Nigerians, being that we've been on this and looking at what we just have, barely 2 months' time, we'll be having the general elections. And the foreign experts in the European Union and ECOWAS have also warned that if these threats continue, if it's not nipped in the bud, it could hamper 2019 election. What do you think about that?
Yes, there is a possibility, because you find out that a place that is not safe for visitors to come, and no election is done in isolation, because there are international observers and monitors that will give credence to your election, that will give support to your election. And because now this same scenario played out in before 2015 election, where the election was now moved by two weeks after, because the part of the north in Borno precise was taken over by these insurgents, and you find out that prompted why the election was moved. So I'm not seeing that scenario, but what I want to say is that I know that the military we have, the military Nigeria has, not that they can't do this job, because we still have the best military in Africa. The truth is that, are they motivated enough? That is the problem. Motivation is the key. Because recently we saw a video that was trending and went viral, where the military that was supposed to fight in this Boko Haram, they were protesting. They dropped their arms. They were protesting because of the poor welfare and poor welfare they were receiving in the theater of war. And that was, to me, that was a very big worrisome scenario, because where the military was supposed to fight these insurgents now drop their weapons and now fighting for their welfare. They have children, they've got families, they also got life to live. They are like me and you. They are trained to fight this. It just doesn't mean that their life should be mortgaged to these guys just like that in the war. So they need to also be catered for, their personal welfare, and also more equipped, because I don't believe that these insurgents have better equipment or have better support
than the Nigerian army.
What support do you need than the support of the federal government? That's the best support you have. When you say you have government, your government support means that you can do anything, you can go with anything, you can achieve anything. So what I see that, what the lacuna actually saying this, why you are saying that they are still resurrecting here and there, because these troops are not well motivated. And when they are motivated, I know what an average Nigerian can do. Nigerians we have high spirits. We are very excellent in what we do. And we can execute, after they've gone for peacekeeping in some parts of Africa, and they were rated the best. So right now, this is an eternal war. then why are they found wanting? You show that somebody is out there not doing his job. Probably there is fund released somewhere to buy equipment or to buy or to pay for their welfare, and you find out that it's not just getting to them. And that is the problem we have in this country. Somebody sit out there, is the receiver, and the troops are out there agitating, and they're not getting what is due to them. And you find out that you can't put in your heart 100% when you're not sure of what you are going to get at the end of the day, because these guys are also well equipped. So if I want to confront them, I must know that if anything happens to me, my children, my family will not go hungry. So if that is not at your back of your mind, and you know, because everybody must use his brain, you find out that you can put it just little, and sometimes when you go to military palace, your little will not be good enough.
Okay.
So that's exactly what we are saying this time around.
I mean, Modu, do you think not having this war win over the insurgency is as a result of lack of adequate equipment?
Well, I'm not able to speak about specifically about lack of equipment, but I do know that our military is better funded now. I know that the challenges of an insurgency are not as easy as conventional warfare. Conventional warfare, you know the location of the military, of the enemy, you know how to degrade their ability to fight. But with this kind of insurgency and terrorist attacks, it's a little more difficult because their locations are not known to you, the chain of command is not known to you, the points where they are targeting is not known.
Is that not where intelligence gathering comes in?
Well, intelligence gathering...
don't we have a unit in that?
Yes, we do have intelligence gathering. But you see, the difficulty with intelligence gathering is embedding operatives that have been there for some time. So, if we are talking about an insurgency that is about maybe 5 or 10 years old now, we have to have had people who were there and have risen high enough to give you useful information. But that is not how insurgencies work. So you will gather information. That is why we've had cases where we've been able to stop some of these suicide bombings. We've been lucky to stop it. But you have to understand, Philip, and everybody has to understand that they only have to be right once out of every 10 times for them to be successful. And you have to be right 100% to stop them from being successful. So you see, between those two is a lot of gap.
Okay. The APC government, even before the before election, 2015, there was this much talk about ensuring that they tackle insecurity, and some believe that it's like history is repeating itself, with just a couple of months' time to the general election, just as we had in 2015. We started having all of this. Don't you think that's a threat to the present government of the APC?
Well, I wouldn't go as far as to say it's a threat, because we're talking about a national security issue. Where if we go down memory lane, we realize that we're talking about a situation where these guys were in physical possession of almost 15 local governments. Whereas today that is not the case. So yes, there's a challenge. Yes, it's something that should be curtailed as much as possible. But we have to put it in perspective. There is no way that an insurgency of the type that we have witnessed is completely eliminated and totally downgraded. We will continue to see, sadly, that they will have the capacity, like I said, to soft target, to create confusion.
You don't seem to give Nigerians hope by saying this, that there will never be a time where it can be completely eradicated.
I'm a realist.
Isn't that what the government...
No, I didn't say there will never be a time to be completely eradicated. I said it will continue to be degraded. We are talking
on
about...
a continuous basis?
Yes.
Without having 100% success over insurgency?
We're talking about a religious ideology. We're talking about a faith-based ideology. We're talking about a belief system. There has to be continuous reorientation. This thing has to gradually be downgraded. It's not going to be overnight. It's not going to be before the elections. It's not going to be immediately after the election. But we will see the capacity of these people to create fear and confusion reduced to the barest minimum.
Okay. Francis Wifo, what toll do you think this is taken for the APC government?
Well, I believe that based on the promises that the government made to Nigerians on the triangle that will tackle economy, security, and insurgency, that this particular one is like a monster I believe before they came on board, they did actually look at the enormity of the security issues in the Northeast before they made some statement and some pronouncements.
So they set back?
Yes. So I believe that the government will sit down now and said, oh, we thought it was like this. Because the truth is that when you are not there, you will not know how it bites. Because you find out that the previous government that also tackled the security, they also had such issues. And they did that. That was why the election was what I said. They also did their own best to make sure these things were downgraded. But you find out that, as he said, insurgency really is difficult to tackle. It's not a conventional war. But it depends on the fighting spirit. It depends on what the commander-in-chief wants to achieve. It depends on how serious you are, how intelligent gathering the military is, how properly funded and trained they are to tackle this. Because I found out that when this, the last end of the permanent government, we found out that you have international collaborators like Britain, America, who wanted to come in to help tackle this insurgency. But I wouldn't know what happened in that direction, because they actually said they were going to bring some personnel to train our military and also help even to go to the theater of war, to also help to flush out these guys. But I don't know whether the agreement was signed or no. But I believe that insurgency to us now is like a monster and is causing fear in the nation. You cannot travel free in this nation because you don't know what behoves of your life. You cannot send our young graduates to the northern part of the nation for NYC, composite 1 year NYC, because they will be afraid. They want to bring them to redeploy. Because to me, that part of the country has really has a setback in terms of development.
Okay.
And as a nation, we're supposed to have even development in this country. What transpires in the south is supposed to be what transpires in the north. Because right now you find out that aspect is, the fear is still there. Nobody can do something meaningful. You can't put something meaningful in that place, or you can't. Companies cannot go there and cite their industries because you don't know what behoves of your investment. So I believe that the many months that this government has, they must put in their thinking cap.
Do you see this as a determinant for the election, depending on that will determine who gets or fly for the remaining term?
Well, that is a very big question. I believe that I have my own...
Because it happened in 2015?
Yes, it does. It did. I have my own opinion. I can speak for myself.
Yes.
Everybody has his own opinion why they should vote. Understand? So if a citizen feels that what was promised wasn't delivered, he has his own, he has his mindset to do whatever he wants to do with his PVC, whether to turn his vote to the other side or still vote continuity, to know that the promise that they're going to do better next time. It depends. So I'm just one voter, and I cannot tell you who I'm voting for or where my vote is going to turn out. But I believe that whether we like it or not, is going to have a slight effect on the voting pattern, on the way voting is going to take place in this country. Because whether we like it or not, security is a challenge in this nation, and this insurgency is a big challenge. And we find out that it keeps reoccurring. If government passed, another government, and we want to take it over to another government, it shows that inability to tackle this really, because some people might just feel, why do I vote? Because I was promised this, it didn't deliver. So to me, it's going to have effect.
Okay.
A little effect on the voting pattern.
Looking at the change mantra and what he just said now, do you think it will be having a negative effect on it? On the government having the day?
There will always be an effect. There will always be an effect because, like my pastor rightly said, the citizen will decide if he feels the promises that were made have been kept or not. But to the extent that government is working continuously, because we have to believe that the government is working continuously to bring this insurgency to the barest minimum possible. And the voting pattern will illustrate whether they trust the government to continue to do that or they want to go a different way. That is to be expected. And it is reasonable to know that even the people who have been liberated from the insurgency too will have a voice. The ones who were not living their lives normally and are now able to come back to the country and know that they are part of the country, they are a little bit more secure. They will have a voice also.
Okay, the alleged diversion of funds, like what the opposition has been saying, and this aspect of the $1 billion that was already approved by the federal government to fight insurgency, insecurity, kidnapping, armed robbery, and all that. It's like it's getting frustrated at the point of not being able to access funds, like what Tuko Brutai also said. Don't you think that government itself is also raising a problem in this direction, in ensuring that the insurgency fight is won?
Well, so we have to understand that there are systems to the way government runs. The money has been approved. There's a budgetary procedure, and before it comes to release, and then the procurement of these arms.
Is it wrong to fasten the procedure?
Of course, yes, there should be.
Is it wrong?
This is priority.
This is an emergency.
Yes, it should be prioritized.
Because when the president spoke about it, yes, it was seen as an emergency.
Yes, it should be prioritized.
Yes, and why still dragging till this moment?
I must be read that as you. The Chief of Army Staff spoke yesterday and said the Army has not been able to access the funds that have been given, that have been approved for its own side of it. So we are hopeful that the government is going to is prioritizing this issue and is not
dragging on it. And we just hope that it wouldn't lead to another issue like the Dasuki Gate.
No, I don't.
Because we have elections close by.
No, I don't think that is going to be the case, because of course you have seen over time that the capacity of the military to fight these insurgents has been gradually improving. We have seen the delivery of aircraft, we have seen the delivery of tanks, we have seen the delivery of arms and ammunition. So it's a gradual process, but of course everybody feels if the money has been approved, why hasn't it been released? Why isn't it something that is on the front burner of the government? And these are issues that the government needs to tackle to bring everybody's mind to rest, that it is not just putting these issues away, and it is dealing with them as expeditiously as it should.
Okay. Your final shots on this towards ensuring that all of this becomes history and we have a better polity and free and fair elections in 2019.
Yeah, I believe that security is a key for us to express our franchise, because for people to go out to vote, you must know that their lives and property are secured, because when you're not sure of that, you can't go out to vote. And government that have voted into position should also be responsible enough to know that people strain themselves to elect them into positions. And when you make promises, keep to promises, because when you can't keep to a promise, there's no point of saying what you can do. And that's the problem we have in this part of the world. People just open their mouth, say it in rallies, say this is what I'm going to do. At the end of the day, they can't do it.
But they say on easy lies the head that wears the crown. It's one thing for you to say it. It's another for you to be overwhelmed when you get into position.
Exactly. But
because there are various challenges.
There are various challenges. Tackle them one after the other. Nobody puts a knife for your neck that you must tackle all the challenges at the same time. If it's road you want to fix it, I will fix just roads. And you do road, your predecessor comes, does light. The other one comes, does this.
But the way we have it now is security, because everything
borders
on security.
One. So if lives are not secured, you find out that citizens and illegal migration you're talking about will just be trending.
Because we have this whole issue of the fight leading to displaced persons,
yes,
having camps everywhere.
The camps that still exist now.
And as we speak, some of the camps are not really a habitable place.
Yes.
For these displaced persons to live in.
There's just nothing there for them to live in. They still beg to survive.
Yes.
And I believe that over 2 years now, government ought to have resettled these people by making sure that these pockets of insurgents are cleared completely, so that they can go back, because they can't even go, most of them from the northeast. When they are not sure of the next attack, you don't know where it's going to come from. So how do you resettle these people? So they're going to be killed or go back to where they are coming from. So I believe that we must have responsible government that tackles issues head on.
Okay.
And you must look at issues. You can't tackle everything. We know that they are not superhumans. So, but take one at a time and tackle it, and the next government does the second.
Amen Modu, your final thoughts on this?
Yes, I want to use this opportunity to give gratitude to the lives that we have lost, our gallant members of the armed forces who have tried their best to bring this insurgency to a close. It's a constant challenge. And these are people, like my brother rightly pointed out, who have their own lives to live. They have their families, they have their dependents. And going forward, Nigerians too have to exercise a little bit more patience, because there is no insurgency that is brought to a complete close as quickly as it is inflamed.
When you said patience, they should be patient with the APC government.
They should be patient with the activities of the government. They should have trust and confidence that it is doing its best in a timely fashion to bring this insurgency to a close. Of course, the 2019 polls will bring everything into deeper focus, and rightly so. This might allow the government to now refocus all its energies to bringing peace to the Northeast.
Okay.
This is what all of us want. We want to return to normal, as normal the lives we had before insurgency.
Okay.
And that is the prayer that everybody has. So we must encourage government where it's doing right, point out the shortcomings that it makes, but on the whole, we must be thankful that we are at this point because we know where we are coming from.
Thank you, Ahmed Mamadou. Thank you, Francis Owaifo, for this.
Thank you.
Well, this will call it a wrap on this discussion segment. We all hope that government as it is would take decisive steps that are proactive steps that will also change the dynamism of the society as regards to national security, most especially as we have the 2019 election just close by, coming upon us. Well, that's what we'll call it. And don't forget, shortly we'll bring you insurance segment. It's still TMI. Don't you go away.